On this episode of AV Week, AV enhancing the working environment, getting people back to work, AVIXA rolls out a new report on chip shortages as well as inflation and when to subcontract and when to not. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 570, recorded Friday, July 22nd, 2022. Automate AV.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Atlas IED, innovative audio solutions for every business environment.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, fantastic young lady from Kierkegaard. She does really cool things in arts, and she lives in Canada. Welcome, Bren Walker.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'm happy to be here once again.
Awesome. Also with us is Erica Carroll. Erica is from Mersive, and just like Bren, she travels around the world, but she is home this week. So welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Mr. Chaz Porter, our good friend and favorite Patriots fan from the great Northeast. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tim. Always a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. First story comes to us from our friends over at AVIXA. They came out with one of their reports, and the thing that struck me, and we'll start with Bren here, you for a second, is the report about the chip shortages. And one of the things that they kind of lay out here is the chip shortages is not going to be as bad or as long, I guess, as previously reported. One thing about Bren designs systems. Her customers are, the customers for integrators. They play in the same field. They have the same conversations. So as you're bringing some of these designs to life and integrators and dealers are bidding on your projects, what are you hearing? Are you hearing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, or is it not as rosy as maybe I'm reading this report to be?
Rosy. I'm definitely not hearing a light at the end.
That was cautious.
Definitely not hearing a light at the end of the tunnel, because I think it's more than just about chips. The chips became sort of a symbol for something, but indicative of a larger global problem, which is just-in-time delivery. And, the fact that most of the world has been relying on just-in-time delivery for components, for final product, and it caught up to us. And I think the ripple effect for that is going to be years, not months. For what we do in terms of being design consultants, it just means that we're spending more time on projects than we were before because we're having to substitute products. And if you've designed a system before, you know that you can have one device be not available in your system, and it's not like you can always just swap device for device. Taking out that one device can mean a redesign of an entire system, or at least parts of it. So we're able to continue to do what we do because our clients are relying on us to tell them what is the best way for us to get to opening on October 10th, and what are we going to be like if we try to open on October 10th. But the issues to me these are systemic issues that are deep beyond our industry and that we have to face as global economies. I think countries are going to have to keep talking about what we're facing, and it's going to go beyond AV. And really, we haven't seen the impact of inflation yet. We're starting to see it in consumer goods, right? Consumer goods, it's now firmly landed that the high oil prices from earlier in this year resulting in higher gas prices. Higher gas prices means everything's going to cost more. So I actually feel like the pricing I've seen in AV has lagged behind what we've seen in terms of inflationary pressure elsewhere. So I think we all just have to get used to the fact that this is the way it's going to be for a while. And if your shop is If you're an integrator and your shop is all around a particular manufacturer, be careful. That could be the thing that puts you out of business. So,
Well,
not to end on a down note, Tim.
no. Here's the thing: this entire conversation, this entire topic, is a down note. Okay, I don't want to. I don't mean to start the show off with with a downer. But kids, it's bad. One of the reports I read here recently was that the live events industry, not that the fact that they're canceling live events, but that concert goers are starting to reduce ticket sales because of gas prices and other things that are taking up disposable income. So yeah, it's not great. Erica, from a manufacturing standpoint, I'm not going to ask you about chip shortages or when I can get the latest product. However, yeah, where are they?
Yeah.
What are you hearing as far as both the inflation side? Because Bren's right. The other part of this report deals with inflation, both from inflation as well as product delivery. Let's just call it that, right?
Yeah, so for us, product delivery isn't really an issue because we were part of this plan ahead group of folks where we were able to acquire enough stock that has gotten us through all of this and for the foreseeable future, thankfully. We also have an adaptable product that can, function on different kinds of silicone depending on how we want it to perform. But our biggest thing on it, the way that it's affected us is through inflation, and it's not just on the chipset or it's on the product specifically. Because we're more of a software company, it's actually more based on our engineering costs. So while we are going to be passing on a little bit of that extra cost onto the customer, it's because we're in this crazy job market. People are switching jobs like crazy, trying to keep up with inflation. And we have to pay them whatever the going market rate is for those engineering costs.
All right, Chaz, you'll have maybe the last word. We'll see how long we can continue this good news.
Well,
what are you hearing?
I would concur with Erica. I on the materials delivery side, we're not having an issue, and it's part of it is just plain luck. We started an initiative 4.5 years ago where we wanted to be committed to our customers that we could provide product faster than our competition could provide a quote. So we ship most of our products between 95 and 100% of our products are shipped within 2 days. And that's because of decisions we made about inventory. Raw materials, we saw this coming 2 years ago and we've been stocking up. So it hasn't been an issue for us. But I would agree with Erica 100%. One of the biggest concerns we have as a U.S. manufacturer is our employees have to provide for their families. And labor costs are going to go up because what they're paying to feed their kids is going up. And we want to make sure that we provide for the people that provide for us. So we see, employment costs steeply rising in the next year for sure.
Yeah, and I would agree with both that labor is the long-term real issue, and that is a much more challenging issue to solve. So, and I see it everywhere with with integrators, with our clients, even for us. I mean, we've had positions open for 2 years that we're constantly trying to find designers. So I think the labor market problem is that's the longer term problem that we're all going to have to continue to deal with.
And this is one of those things where, and I'm going to ask all three of you, and if none of you want to answer, that's fine. I don't blame you. The one thing that Bren just hit on there, once the product delivery does land, then this job market situation is going to get worse. And what I mean by that is, if every integrator in the country, at every job in the world got all the product that they were waiting on right now, we would not have the labor to finish the jobs. And that is another issue. So the question is, how do we fix that before the product finally gets to our doorstep?
Before the product gets to the doorstep, I don't think you do.
Okay.
honestly, I don't know that you can fix it before the product gets to the doorstep. And it, there's going to be some separating of the wheat from the chaff in terms of integrators and how they are managing their businesses and managing their projects. And you can actively see who is doing it well and who isn't. And you can see who is trying to bring in new people and bring new people up and who isn't. And whose whole way of operating falls apart if they lose one person. We're seeing that too. So I don't know that it gets solved before the product arrives. In a lot of cases, it might be similar to what often happens, which is whatever client has the most money or makes the loudest noise is getting their project done. Sad to say.
I think this is also an opportunity where I recently learned that AVIXA has an integrated services council. It's basically a council of integrators that help to make sure they get the job done by allocating resources amongst each other. And it's probably another opportunity for, somebody to step in and build that sort of coalition amongst integrators.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some really, really creative folks to get ahead of this. And Bren, the reason I said before the product gets here, because we do have a minute, right? The good side about these delivery issues, chip shortages, is the fact that we don't have everything. So there is a minute here. But yeah, it's going to come to roost here before we're ready for it, I think. So let's do some good news, I guess, for the rest of the show. The next story comes to us from our friends over at Commercial Integrator. Jetbuilt, a really cool software company out of Newport Beach. They've partnered with Vectorworks to bring in BIM drawings and CAD drawings. What you can do is you can use a Jetbuilt project and you can seamlessly export it to Vectorworks that will create the CAD for integrators who don't have that, or BIM models for those that don't have that, 3D renderings and stuff like that. Eric, I want to start with you on this. When it comes to subcontracting out and subbing out design, subbing out control programming, subbing out DSP, where does it make sense and where does it not? Like where do you, when you talk to integrators and you talk to dealers, where do they want to make sure that they hold on to the intellectual property, the intellectual stuff, and where can they sub this out to other folks who have, I guess, more better expertise or more expertise?
Sure. So from a manufacturing standpoint, I want to see it more as empowering that integrator to hold on to more that they can. The less support that we have to do as a manufacturer, if we're able to train them up to make sure that they can support, all of their products, that they can do all of their designs correctly, that they make sure that everything interfaces properly, the less that we can do sometimes is the better, because, then that's less support tickets for us. That's empowering them as an integrator. It's, making they can charge more for extra services. So I would like to see that actually be taken on more on the integration side and let them be empowered by it.
Chaz, same kind of question. As you're talking with dealers, where should they outsource?
I would absolutely agree with Erica in that they want to maintain as much control as they can possibly do. I think, unfortunately, we spoke about the labor market before. I think that demands them outsourcing more and more. But I think from a preference point of view, they would want to maintain as much control as possible.
Well, Bren, Chaz kind of stole my question to you. This does bring up that other question, right? Where it comes to, where do we sub and where do we not? And when can we afford to?
Yeah, I think that with a product like this, because a lot of products promise to do things similar, right? So the first thing is, how well does it actually do what it does? And do these exports work cleanly? Or are you spending more time, cleaning things up? So that's the first thing, is that you got to take the product out for a really, really hard ride and see how that horse performs. Then I think the integrators would be wise to look at their overall way of working and where can they automate in general. and be finding the low-hanging fruit for where they can automate, and see this as another tool in that automation, in the process of moving towards automation and trying to take a handle of automation before automation eliminates you. From our point of view, we don't sub out design ever. I mean, I think that there is a way to automate some of the documentation, particularly if you're dealing with, global campuses that have certain standards and you're meeting those certain standards in, multiple hundreds of buildings or hundreds of systems that are going up. Then you can find a way to leverage a tool like this. A lot of what we do is highly bespoke, so we just don't have that advantage. But that's what I would say, is see it as another tool in the automation kit, and figure out how you can use it that way to do what Erica is saying, which is to maintain the mind share that matters the most and that has the most value to the client. And what I've been trumpeting on for a while now, Tim, is that design to me is where the value is with AV now. That is where the value lies, and how to understand, take products that are either off the shelf or that give you lots of options, and then turn that into something that simplifies execution for your client.
So you bring up a really good point. Where can we automate in the world of AV? Because, whether that is programmers looking at configuration tools going, well, you're putting me out of a job, right? Or you have software that you can put a microphone in the middle of a room, push a button, and then in 30 seconds the DSP is programmed, which again puts somebody else out of a job. But getting ahead of that, where else can we automate in the world of AV?
Well, I think design documentation is one place where you can automate. Obviously, monitoring can be automated and is already. And I think there's more that we can do with the data that we get off of systems that sort of sits. Sometimes I think about the data that is generated by the use of a AV device, similar to video recordings from a video meeting. They get recorded and they go somewhere, but does somebody ever actually look at that thing again or figure out what the best way is to take information out of that data? So I would say the manipulation of data and using data to optimize systems is another place to automate. But the level to which you can do it in design depends greatly on what you're designing. I've heard some people talk about automating the actual integration part. I haven't seen that in a way that I feel comfortable with. But, I think you've got to try different things to see. Because the margins for everybody will get smaller as those jobs get replaced, because those jobs are going to get replaced. They are. So now we have to think about what are we doing to provide value to our clients if you can put the microphone in the room and the DSP is programmed.
All right. Last story here comes to our friends over at AV Magazine in the UK. Gensler has integrated LG transparent OLED into partitions. It's kind of interesting. LG's from the article. LG displays transparent OLED technology has been integrated into a modular partition system by product design with a product designed by Gensler's Digital Experience Design. What they're doing is they're taking a transparent OLED and baking it into partitions for cubicles. It's kind of cool, right? It's a unique use case for a transparent OLED. Chaz, when you look at this, this question that came out of my head, and that's what I asked you guys when I emailed you the stories. Where else can we use AV to enhance kind of the back to work, back to the office experience for folks? Whether that is things like this, or it's soundproofing, or it's not soundproofing, but also sound masking. Where else can we use AV to make it more enticing to get back to the office?
Well, obviously, this is a great example of integrating video into just the common workspace. And I think the way we look at it at FSR, video is just going to be everywhere. And I think anywhere you can implement it like this is going to benefit us. I'm going to sound like I'm bragging, but I just got back from Ireland. I was at a wedding over there. I had a great time. But one of the things I found most fascinating, they're soccer fans over there like crazy, or football, I should use the proper term. There were people everywhere watching soccer on their phones. And I relay that to this because not only do we have to have video everywhere, we have to have the ability to provide high-speed internet, phone, whatever it is. Those are technologies that the AV folks have to be aware of, have to integrate into their systems, because video is just going to proliferate even more than what we've seen in the past 5 years.
All right. Bren, I did think of you when I saw this because I knew you were coming on, and I so desperately want to get your 2 cents. So first of all, give me your 2 cents on this, on the use of this. But then, yeah, same question is where can we use AV to enhance the workspace?
I think it has a lot of potential in terms of, the aspect of creating different environments, right? And allowing someone to, if you just took those partitions and said, let's just say this is the new cube. This is the new cubicle.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you can look beyond the walls of your cubicle, even if you're just doing it virtually. And that is a huge thing because the cubicle sucks and is a large part of the reason why people don't like to go to offices, right? Is because of that, beige, that beige experience in the cube. So I like the fact that you can turn it over to the employee and say, make this environment what you want it to be. So if today you want to be coding while you're sitting, in Estes Park, Colorado, or, Turin, Italy, like one of my designers, Jeff, is on vacation, has been working from Italy. It's like, then you can do that. And I think that's great. And also, I think the flip side of it is that it gives the employee control to decide when they don't want to have the information too. Right? Like one of the things I've been thinking about lately about just large format displays in lobbies or, entrances to buildings or any of these places where it's just like, let us give you what the message is that we want you to visually see. This should put the power to determine what that is in the person in the environment, right? So if they want to basically have nothing on, except, a scene like I have here or a starry night, they can just have a starry night. Video is absolutely the number one form of communication in the world. There's no question about it. There's a reason why it's that, I think. It's easy for us to make now. The cameras are everywhere. You can annotate. People who don't understand your language can have it transcribed into a language they do understand. So it improves our communication. It provides more accessibility to more people. And I think that's another thing about this development that could be interesting is that how does it make the workspace more accessible for people who it might have been less accessible? However, I'm still all about not going back to the office. So I still think that the concept of the office is something from some Victorian dude in the UK in the 1890s, and I don't know why we still do it, but
his name was Ebenezer. That's why. I say that, but I will have you talk to my boss here in a few months. So, all right, Erica, you have the last word on this. What can we, where can we leverage AV to make it, more appealing if that is the need to get people back to the office?
So, we're in an interesting time and space right now where if you had to go into the office to sit into a cubicle and do meetings like this on Zoom, why not just do it at home? It just doesn't make sense. So we are having to make return to the office a more compelling experience, enticing people to come in. And I think that this use case is certainly a valid reason to come back and even in a broader scale. You've seen in higher education where they've listed different technologies they have to entice students to go on campus. And I would see this being more of a workplace perk that becomes listed to get people to want to join this team and know that the company's investing in technology, that they want to make this collaborative, experiential environment for their employees.
All right, that'll be a good place to stop. Thank you all so much. I will say publicly, because my guests here have been very patient with me, nothing, and I do mean nothing in the studio today worked the way it was supposed to. I want to say that we recorded like 45 minutes after the time we were supposed to, so thank you all so much. Bren Walker, thank you. Always lovely to see you. I got to meet you in person for the first time this year. Very excited about that.
Me too.
So how can people connect with you or Kierkegaard?
You can reach me, Bren, at Kierkegaard.com. And that's our website, Kierkegaard.com. Missing the initial E. We're not Kierkegaard like the philosopher, Kirk. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Brenda J. Walker.
Very good. Erica Carroll, thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you or Immersive?
Sure, you can find me at ecarroll@immersive.com. You can also reach out to immersive.com just to get the scoop on Immersive, or you can find me on LinkedIn with /in/the Erica Carroll.
The Erica Carroll.
That's right.
Chaz, how do people connect with you or FSR, sir?
You can reach me at Chaz, CHAZ, at FSRinc.com, or at LinkedIn, I'm Chaz FSR.
All right, very good. For me, for Tim Albright, do not follow me on the Twitters because it's almost time to start complaining about the Bears. But go by the website if you would, please, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. A couple things really quickly. Our incredible editor and writer, Taylor Moore, he has taken one of our podcasts and kind of made it and reshaped it into his own. The AV profession is now all about entering into the AV industry. He did an incredible job. First episode dropped this week where he interviewed actually one of our other editors, Julian Evans-Means from CTI, Emily Roca, or Roca, I'm not sure yet, from Control Concepts, and Amala from Control Concepts. Amala is from Commercial Integrator. Emily is from Control Concepts. You'd think I do this for a living. So check that out if you would, please. Also check out our fantastic sponsors, people like FSR that help us bring you AVWeek and so much more. And we're also gearing up for CEDIA in about 2 months from now. So we'll be heading down to Dallas with some folks and checking all that stuff out. All that and more at avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.